At the risk of offending everyone, all right? Crocky, we're going to talk about the Yotes going down under.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. Today's episode brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's Jase medical.com. I'm your host, Robyn Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson. We both want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen every day. We are free and available everywhere you get your podcast, including now on the SiriusXM radio app. We got a great show in today's episode, and we're going to do maybe a little bit today. And as we get closer as well, we're previewing Yotes Down Under as the Arizona Coyotes and the Los Angeles Kings in Melbourne, Australia. Yeah, just get ready for a good old fashioned, maybe a kangaroo style fight. Who knows?
We're just going right for the offensive, left and right on this Locked On show. All right, I will not apologize for my terrible Australian accent. However, I will probably pre-order Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 4. So I am here to support your country, and I do know that Robyn has no idea what game I'm talking about. But I was actually trying to pull up the announced rosters, but I'm very interested to see how this is going to go, because the Coyotes had to sign a lot of PTOs and guys that probably aren't going to make the team, like Ryan Dzingel, just to name a name off the top of my head. But because they need bodies, they're playing 3 games on the 23rd. One's going to be in Wichita, one's going to be in San Luis, and one is going to be in Australia, the Lounge Down Under. And I promise I will not. I don't promise. I will probably not do another another accident.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a massive split squad game where everyone's going everywhere. Like, you have like rookies and a bunch of other people going here, and it's like there's like if you were wondering about a week ago why the Coyotes signed 12 PTOs or whatever it was, like that's why. Yeah, because of how many. Just what this split squad is, games are going to be like.
Yeah, and I have the roster right here. Essentially, the actual NHL team is going to Australia, and I think it's actually pretty cool. You do want to have your best foot forward. I'm going to assume the Kings are going to do the same thing, but here I found the post by Craig Morgan. Forwards: Nick Bukestad, Travis Boyd, Michael Carcone, Logan Cooley, Lawson Krause, Steelen Gunther, Barrett Hayton, Alex Kerfoot, Clayton Keller, Matthias Michelli, Jack McBain, Liam O'Brien, Nick Schmaltz, and Jason Zucker. So literally what we're going to assume is going to be the roster, but the only guys that could find their way out would be maybe O'Brien and Boyd, depending on how things go. On the defense, Josh Brown, Travis Dermott, who hopefully will end up making the roster, Matt Dumba, Sean Dursey, JJ Mosier, Victor Soderstrom, Troy Stetcher, and Juuso Valimaki. So literally just the defensive core. And then goaltenders, Connor Ingram, Andrew Oki, and Karel Vejmelka. So it's literally just the NHL squad. It might, like, with a couple extra players.
The primary squad, yeah. And I think and my guess is that, then the Wichita one would be like, the next best rookies plus just some filler. And then the last one, the one in St. Louis, I'm assuming is just the ECHL people.
It's the scrubs. They don't have an ECHL contract. This is their entire ECHL experience this year. Just sending the scrubs to St. Louis. But then again, who would rather be in Missouri than Australia? Actually, I would rather be because they at least don't have human-sized spiders in Missouri. But whatever. All right, y'all can live with that, and I will not live with that.
I mean, yeah, it's It's I mean, people can have different opinions on where they'd be. Like, I personally would maybe love to visit Australia once. The key word here, Matt, is once. I don't know if I could handle that level of jet lag, for one, and also two, everything wants to kill me. So
I wouldn't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I wouldn't do it. I'm not dying this young just by going to Australia. Everything wants to kill you. But we're here to talk about the Coyotes. And considering it's basically just the NHL roster, what are you expecting? Because I think obviously you have the aspect of it's preseason. You're not like nothing's on the line, and almost no one involved in that list has their job on the line heading into the season. Do you expect there to still be an intensity? Because obviously, Coach Andre Tournier, he wants to have that culture. And I was reading an article, I think Craig Morgan posted it, where, or maybe Leah Merrill, I forget which, but he was talking about how if culture is not cultivated, it goes away. So do you expect them to put up an NHL level fight, try to put that best foot forward? Obviously, you're on a world stage here. Or are you expecting it's just a preseason game?
I think there's enough that you can kind of look both ways on this. Like, it is as an NHL Global Series game, you'd expect at least some level of intensity and some level of what you'd hope to be top level play. But at the same time, because it is preseason, of course, you're definitely not going all out, because you don't want to risk an injury in preseason. So they're gonna, go through, essentially playing like an NHL level game, but scaled, I guess, just slightly scaled back in some ways. The reason why we're going to see more again, as you mentioned, because we're seeing the NHL squad versus, the younger ones, the ones that probably aren't going to make the roster. It makes sense. Makes sense for it to be that way.
Yeah, I guess it's just I don't know. I kind of feel like, when you send teams overseas, obviously it's a little different than the premiere in Prague back in like 2009 or 2010, whichever year that was. Or that's the start of the season. The first couple of the regular season games were in a different country. But if you're trying to expand hockey outward, if you're trying to get an Australian audience interested in it, be it whether or not they're trying to expand other Euro leagues over there or not, or just trying to get the interest of the game to have preseason games every year, so you can just have another different market to market to. You want to have a good product, so I do feel like there's going to be some sort of pressure to have a good performance. But in terms of needing the win versus loss, I don't expect that level of compete, if that makes sense.
Yeah, true. And I guess it also makes a difference, as I mentioned, because it is a split squad, not just a two-way split squad, but a three-way split squad. I feel like all the players who went to Australia, or they went to Melbourne, they don't have to look behind their backs in the worries of not making the roster. These are the ones that are pretty much safe.
So yeah, if anything, you're going to get a better game in Wichita, probably.
Honestly, yeah. So maybe if you're the kind of hockey fan who wants to watch a more high intense game, watch the one in Wichita. But again, if you want to see the elite players, if you want to watch Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther play together, of course you're gonna watch the game in Melbourne.
Isn't that going to be on ESPN Plus?
I believe so.
But of course, we'll talk a little more about this coming up right after a word, Robyn, from AG1.
Absolutely. Today's episode is brought to you by AG1. As I bring up our little graphic there it is. Our partner from AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health that I drink literally every day. I gave AG1 a try because I was just getting sick and tired of having to remember to take so many different pills every day just so I can get all the different nutrients, because because of how often I work, there's no way I'm going to get everything in the day of daily nutrition that I need. AG1 helps fix that. It covers everything: better gut health, a boost in energy, immune system support, and the best thing is I don't have to take so many pills. It's just one supplement. All it really is a scoop of this powder in a cup of water every day, and that's it. I just drink it every morning before I go to work, and it just makes me feel better before going into that day, knowing I have all my nutrients, and just overall, I just actually feel better. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/NHL Network. That's drinkag1.com/NHL Network. Be sure to check it out. Well, let's keep going talking about the NHL Global Series, because we got the games in Melbourne here. The games on 2 days of the games. We got September 23rd and 24th. So this Saturday and Sunday. I feel like there's a lot of anticipation going to this match, because as I mentioned earlier, it is a Global Series game. For some reason, any game, even if it's a preseason game, the world stage, people tend to put a little more of a microscope on it.
I think it's because the Coyotes are involved. There's going to be more microscope on it because, why would you send that team over there? But I don't know. I want to try to pull up the Lions, because we borderline called some of the defensive pairings. But then again, a toddler that follows this team could have called them because they're pretty logical. The first line was, I think it was Moser, then Dumba, Valimaki, Dursey, and then Brown Stetcher, which Brown Stetcher just makes the most sense. I'm still going to stand by. It kind of supports. I don't think that Soderstrom's going to make the team. The fourth defensive pairing is Dermott and Soderstrom. One of those two is going to be the extra defenseman. Soderstrom is not going to benefit from being on the bench, so he'll go down to Tucson. I think Dermott, as long as he plays well, will end up being that seventh defenseman. What are your thoughts on Moser, Dumba, Valimaki, Dursey?
I feel like that just that defensive core, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air, man. Like, because it's interesting because I've been criticizing the defense for so long. I'm like, there's no the defensive personnel is just feels like something's missing. Just always felt like, it's just another year the defense is going to be bad. Even though there were some good players, but I feel like this feels a little more complete. Not 100% complete, but it just feels more complete, and it feels refreshing.
You know what I just realized right now, as there's a video from training camp on Craig Morgan's feed right next to this. The reason why Sean Dursey is 50 instead of 51 is because Stetcher got his number back when he came back. I don't know why I didn't put that together. I feel dumb. But
it's interesting.
I don't know. I don't like Dumbo in the first pair.
Yeah. That also something that you just kind of reminded me of, like how the decision between some players choosing a secondary number, is it like just one up sometimes, or just the inverse of whatever their previous number was? It's like,
or like if the number usually is 9, they'll add a digit, like 97 or something.
Like, I know, like, a lot of players chose 19, and then, like, because it's not available, because so many players chose 19 earlier, it's like, 91. Same thing for, what's another one that I see flipped all the time? I'm trying to think.
18 to 81 happens quite a bit. I've never really seen 16 to 61, but, like, you'll see it flipped a lot. Or you'll add a digit.
21.
What's the last 12 we had? Nick Ritchie? Because the only one that comes to mind literally is Craig Weller. That's the only 12 that actually comes to mind. I'm carbon dating myself. Anyway, I don't like Dumbo on the first pair because he clearly has been recovering from an injury, and he wasn't quite the same offensive type defenseman. And I feel like that leadership is good, but Durzi having the higher offensive ceiling probably should have those top pair minutes. It's obviously just training camp, and also Durzi has to earn the minutes, so veterans do get priority. I just kind of feel like unless Durzi's also getting some power play time, that might not end up maximizing your offensive production out of your defense unless Durzi is fully healed from his injury. I thought it was a shoulder injury.
That sounds right. Maybe what's happening though is more of as training camp progresses, kind of seeing what the chemistry works on certain lines, because these players practice together, sure, and they kind of you've seen bits and pieces, but it's when the actual gets to the game to see what the on ice chemistry looks like, because we don't see everything else besides what happens on the ice.
True. It's just if Dumba returns to form, JJ Mosier is very, very good at moving the puck. Surprisingly decent shot, a little sneakier. It's not a great, super great NHL shot, but he can score. But he's better with the facilitating. If Dumba can kind of get his shot back to where it was, that could be a deadly combo. I just feel like Durzi's the better match right now. But then again, I am just an armchair coach. I'm not actually
I think
the coach.
To me, I think the biggest thing to think about is to also ensure that you're not putting, what you would imagine the best two offensive, offensive puck moving defensemen on the same pair. There is a reason why, and I'm going to make a comparison to another team here. For so long, so many people got so ticked off whenever the San Jose Sharks put Brett Burns and Erik Karlsson together, because it's just why? It was just dumb. I think maybe they just you kind of want to be able to have a player of a good shot, a defenseman of a good shot, pair up with a pretty decent stay at home, or someone who can, has a better defensive mind.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting. I don't remember if EK65 and Burns were on the same line, but
a couple times they were.
Them both being on the first and second line primarily, you lose a lot of what both of them were best at, because you're kind of splitting the time. You're trying to, sometimes Burns is leading, sometimes, Erik Karlsson's leading the charge. And as soon as Burns left, his numbers got a little better. And then EK65 just completely, jumped to the moon. So I don't know. I hopefully, because the Dumba thing's only going to be a 1 year. I would be surprised if Dumba was here past, the trade deadline, to be honest. But hopefully he can come in, be a good culture guy, help with some of the younger defensemen, and help really establish his defense moving forward. But I want to see Durzi take over that top offensive defenseman slot on the right-hand side, because I know that's where he's probably going to fit the best, especially with the defensive inadequacies and with how good Jase Medical is defensively. To me, it's kind of like pairing McCulloch with Yandel. Like, you have someone that's not very good at the defensive aspect of the puck, then you have someone that is excellent at that aspect who can play back, play a little more conservative, while you have Durzi pinching, and then Yandel, in that example, pinching and trying to push the offense forward.
That makes sense. I've always thought about, I a lot of people who probably listen to the show know, I tend to overthink defensive pairs. Sometimes even the last couple of years too. I just get excited because I want this pair, and then it would be so cool when we can name this pair X, Y, and Z. I get creative. I tend to get really creative.
Can we just call it the fire and ice pair? This is the stereotypical offensive defenseman, defensive defenseman.
Every day. No, but 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was an advocate for the bear pair.
The bear pair. And who was the bear pair? Labushkin had to be one of them.
Yes. I'm trying to remember who the other bear was. I remember it was Ghost Bear.
Ghost Bear. Okay. I was thinking Kevin.
Ghost Bear with Labushkin.
All right.
I wanted it so bad because the bear pair sounded fantastic, and I thought like they could work together, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what's not unfortunate? The next sponsor. We get to have some words from Birddogs. It's my first time getting to read this ad, too. So, today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Are you tired of sacrificing comfort for style when it comes to your activewear? Introducing Birddogs, a game changer in athletic shorts. Picture this. Premium shorts designed for maximum performance combined with unparalleled comfort. Birddogs are here to revolutionize your workout routine. With their unique built-in liner, these shorts offer ultimate support and flexibility, ensuring you stay comfortable during even the most intense workouts. And here's the best part. Birddogs are more than just workout gear. They're versatile enough for you to take them to the gym, to the street, without skipping a beat. Designed with pockets that actually work, Birddogs give you ample space to store your essentials while you're on the move. Birddogs are made with premium breathable fabrics that keep you cool and dry throughout your activities, perfect for the trails, the gym, or simply lounging around. Birddogs are shorts you've been searching for. Order a pair of Birddogs today and join the thousands of satisfied customers who have made the switch. Visit birddogs.com/lockedon. Enter promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get a free water bottle with every order. Birddogs, where style meets comfort and performance meets perfection. You won't want to take these shorts off. We promise you. And I promise you, I will keep these shorts on.
I love that. All right. Well, we got let's get back to the preview, and I'm trying to think, where do we have our list here?
You want to go over the line pairings?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be playing at Rod Laver Arena, who has a capacity of 14,820, which is like 3,000 shy of what DDA was. I had to throw that in somewhere. I knew I had to throw that in somewhere, but the first line has pretty much been untouched this entire time of Keller, Hayton, and Schmaltzy. The second line, I know Craig Morgan said that it'll be interesting to see if they keep that, if they maintain that. And I haven't been keeping as close of an eye on practice as I would like, but Bukestad, Kraus, and Michelli, let's just assume that's line 2. What would you have as line 3? I know we've been throwing around a lot of Zucker and Cooley.
I feel like, Cooley. Oh, God. I feel like I saw a decent line of players, too, that would have worked, but I'm blanking on.
I think Kerfoot kept going between line 3 and line 4. So I think one of them was like Zucker, Cooley, Kerfoot, with then McBain, Gunther, and I can't remember the wing. It might have been Boyd being the fourth practicing line. I kind of feel like, you know what really sucks is Dylan Gunther might not have a full-time NHL spot this year. And let me explain this, because Cooley...
It's not to the fault of his own either.
No, it's not. Cooley can be the third to second line center while he's developing at the NHL level, and that's not going to hurt the team. You'll have your offensive explosion, so you'll have a third line center that can do a lot of stuff with somewhat mediocre talent, theoretically. But Dylan Gunther, he's going to need a better setup man. And on the third line, you're not going to get quite as many minutes. Typically, the third line's more of a checking line, even though the fourth line makes the most sense of being a checking/grinding line, which the Coyotes would have. But depending on the matchups and the unfavorable ice time and the unfavorable situations he'd be out there, I don't think that he'd be able to have the most ample opportunities to score. And as Craig Morgan pointed out in an article recently about him, that most of his points last year came on the power play. So the 5-on-5 does need some work, and I'm not sure if they really want him on the penalty kill at this point. He might end up being an odd man out. So like Liam O'Brien says in the fourth line or something, you could plug any number of wingers in the bottom 6, and then Gunther is the first line winger in Tucson, where Gunther is at a bit of a disadvantage, because if you maintain the momentum with that second line, that Bukestad, Michelli, and Kraus line, who are you going to knock off that? Like, the biggest thing, my problem with Lawson Kraus, and this is not trade Lawson Kraus, but my biggest problem with Lawson Kraus is he feels like someone that would be a perfect top 9 anchor, a third line winger that would get you a lot of surprising depth scoring, but he works so well in that top 6, it would be stupid to handicap him. But then where are you going to put Gunther? Because theoretically, Michelli and Gunther could work. Zucker and Gunther also could work, but just theoretically, that could be a decent pairing. Someone who is a phenomenal passer and someone who has a really good shot. That could be a really interesting pairing. You could throw Cooley on that. You could throw even Kerfoot. I think he technically is listed as a center. You could throw McBain. He showed decent upside offensively. You can do a lot there, but how much is it going to hurt the overall team? And then, or at least the scoring, and guys like Michelli and Krause who had such good chemistry. And also, why then bring back Bukestad? So in my opinion, Bukestad's probably the second line center. Unless you make that line your third line, then you could talk about, Zucker and Gunther on the second line, but they'd have to earn that ice time. And I think Gunther did really well last year. Do you think he's outplaying Krause and Michelli for a line spot? Do you think he's going to outplay them for that second line? I don't. And that's not even a knock against Gunther.
It's not.
The players are better in front of him.
It's just showing how deep this Coyotes team is going into this year. And that should be a reason to be excited.
Yeah, I'm happy. A little disappointed, but you know what? If you send Gunther to Tucson and he gets meaningful time and shows he's, head and shoulders above the rest down there, you could Carcone on the fourth line. Don't know why I forgot it, but you could justify him coming back over to the NHL and being in a spot because you can't tell me there aren't going to be injuries. All right, obviously you don't want to wish injuries on anyone, but it's going to happen. In that theoretical scenario, he'd be ready for whatever call up. And let's say you lost your third line wing, you can plug him right in there instead of having to shuffle things around, because I think there's kind of a few too many vets on the team currently for him to beat him out. Like he's better than O'Brien. He's probably better than Carcone overall, but Carcone's further along in his development, so you probably would rely more on Carcone. Depending on, like, offensively, probably better than Kerfoot, but do you trust his overall game more than Kerfoot? Probably not. He's not better than Zucker right now. Like, there's going to be competition.
Oh, there sure will be competition. And again, that's what this, this preseason's for, right? That's what it's for, to kind of really figure out, what's going to work best for the Coyotes and what works best for these players.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's that time of year when you actually start getting excited thinking about it. But those are all the thoughts I got. Honestly, it's just Dumba on the first pair concerns me. What are you going to do with Gunther? Is Gunther going to be a road runner? Do you have a top line of Donor and Gunther on opposite wings?
Yeah. Here's one thing that I think we can tie into this episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
How about we make some betting predictions?
I just spent the rest of my gas money on Digimon cards today. I'm not.
Hey,
I'm
it's
not
okay.
We're
Personally not putting any money down here, but we're gonna do what we can say what we would pick, right?
All right.
What we would pick. So
Robyn the Gambler.
We got our odds posted by our partners at FanDuel Sportsbook. They have posted the odds already for this matchup, where the Los Angeles Kings are 1.5 favorites at the plus 135 odds, with the money line in favor of Los Angeles at minus 164 odds. Total points is set at 6.
I'll hit the Coyotes in that. I'll hit the Coyotes, or at least the over-under in total points being 6, because do you really think Karel Vejmelka or Connor Ingram are going to care that much? Like, the goalie tandem, like, barring a miracle, all right? And whether or not you want to talk about the validity of that alleged interview with Vejmelka or not, barring something ridiculous happening, it's Vejmelka, Ingram. Neither of these guys are going to be worried for their job. They're probably going to be just using the game to get loose. It's probably going to be more goals than 5 or 6 scored total.
I am going to make a double prediction here, and it's if you're a fan of same game parlays, you can make this double prediction if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to pick the Arizona Coyotes on the money line at plus 134 with over 6.
Okay, here you go. You heard it here first. And if they allow you to bet who scores first for the Coyotes, let's just say Michael Carcone, because it's almost never who you think it's going to be scoring first. So just throw Carcone on the ticket.
I can only imagine what the odds boost of that would be if you put that on there. It'd be nice.
You bet $1, you get like 25 back.
Hey, I wouldn't complain.
Anyway,
we're out of time on today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, to like, comment, and subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube and the Sirius XM radio app. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on the app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, at LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn_Leonio. Matty Jacobson is at The Easy Sports Guy. Interact with us, ask a question you might have, interact right back on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys staying safe out there. Hope you guys staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.